Ah, ah, oh, ha. We have Stag Princess, and she says, "Are you ever going to make a video on disassociatives?" Interesting that you ask, because I've been, especially lately, thinking a lot about trying disassociatives. I mean, I've tried nitrous oxide, which is but anyway, to answer your question, I'm looking at doing a video on ketamine soon. Maybe we'll even jump into the controversial depths of PCP. Oh boy, wouldn't that be cool? We could try some phencyclidine. There we go. Try some phencyclidine live. You guys would, yeah, probably love that. Then we could put it to the test if it really does give you the ability to punch through solid concrete walls and break slabs of metal with your dick. You just cock slap the shit out of that metal and watch it shatter into a million microscopic pieces, tiny little atoms everywhere. Stupid jokes aside, that would be fun. That'd be fun. I'll look into doing that soon. Let me know below if you would like to see the cock shattering metal phencyclidine video. Or, you know, we could do ketamine. Or we could just, I don't know, make this a video about disassociatives. Here we go, video on disassociatives. Right now. Unfortunately, YouTube would not allow me to do anything like this, so just for the sake of all of you guys watching, this is air. I'm just gonna go, empty this air out somewhere else.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next question quickly.
Have you ever experienced derealization/depersonalization after a trip? If so, do you have any coping techniques to recommend? By the Twilight Princess. Yes, Zelda Twilight Princess was a fucking awesome video game that I haven't finished yet, but I was using that amiibo to get the 20 heart link, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I totally forgot what the question was. Oh, have you ever experienced derealization, depersonalization after a trip? I can't say that I actually have experienced that. No, usually after trips, I feel even more connected to myself in this reality. And there's also the chance that I have experienced it, I just can't really remember right now. CTB 9000 says, thoughts on salvia. Is it a bad idea for someone who has tried literally no other substance? It's over 9,000! If you want a real tangible example of just how stupid it is to do salvia when you have no experience with other drugs besides maybe weed or alcohol, you just gotta zoom back on YouTube, maybe rewind back, 8-10 years, just littered with salvia videos, everyone and their mom just freaking out and losing their shit. It's definitely a bad idea. However, I do want to make a video, this has been on my list of videos to do for years now, on salvia and how it was used traditionally. A lot of people don't know this, but it was never meant to be smoked, especially not concentrated down into 20 or 40 extract. They chewed it. They would take the leaf and they would just chew it. That's how you're supposed to consume it, traditionally speaking at least. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see that chewing salvia live experience / documentary. Salt God 666 says, out of all substances you've taken, which one has had the most positive effects on your everyday life? It's actually the one that I just used recently to help me overcome my Vyvanse prescription. Yeah, that would be LSD. LSD has truly helped aid me in facing not only demons, but seeing what to others might be totally obvious, but to me remained hidden under a veil of arrogant ego and stupidity. Oh, sorry, the question was, has it had the most positive effects? Well, yeah, if it's helped me get over bad addictions and, start going to the gym more and work out and start caring what I eat, and if it's done all of those things, then yeah, hands down, LSD's had the most positive impact. But to be clear, it's not as though I just took it. It was with intent. The intent I had was to heal my life. And I think if you're going to use something like LSD as a tool for growth and healing, what you've got to do is go into the experience just ready and willing for whatever it has to show you. And you have to be open to what it has to show you. You can't just push away what could be potential truths that just might feel negative at the time, but you rationalize. It really just, I was living a hedonistic lifestyle, and I knew this. So it's not like the LSD was like, hey man, you're living this hedonistic lifestyle. It was more like, I didn't know how to stop. What the LSD showed me is another side to life when I realized that I didn't need to take that drug to be happy, that I could actually achieve a greater sense of value from just living sans its presence. Well, then, kicking the addiction just became easy. How it's had such a positive effect is it shows me familiar situations from an unfamiliar perspective that was previously unattainable with just trying to solve the problem through my sober mind. It allows you to see things in a way that you didn't even really know was possible. It almost rewires your brain and makes new connections instantaneously. So when you get out of the experience, you, on more levels than one, feel like a new, changed, often better person. But, you know, there's also the flip side of this coin, where if you have one of those traumatizing PTSD inducing experiences, you can leave an LSD trip worse off. And I've experienced that too in the past when I had the worst trip of my life video. That was over 2 years ago now, and it pretty much took 2 years to heal. I was not the same after that experience, and that was not for the better. WizMiz to Graham says, what drug would you never touch again? There's a lot of drugs I'd never touch again. This one time I tried a very low dose of 5-methoxy MIPT, and it just gave me a lot of chest pressure, and everything I had read about it made it sound like this erotic, pleasurable, euphoric experience that made you feel warm and made sex feel great. But I took it and it just felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest, so I wouldn't touch that one again. Actually, a more interesting drug that I wouldn't touch again is probably Ethlad, which is one of the legal LSD analogs. A lot of people say that it's the most nausea-inducing one of the group. It causes the most physical discomfort, also known as body load. But what concerns me is there's a couple reports online of users taking it and their body temperature just skyrocketing. I mean, reaching levels, don't quote me on this, I think like 104. I could be totally off base, but their temperature went way up. So it causes a real flux of your body's ability to regulate its own temperature. And that freaks me out, which is unfortunate because the visual profile of that substance is very appetizing. Tit of Z says, what music do you listen to often? I'm so fucking lame, and I often listen to Schmongle, even when I'm not tripping. Let's go through my phone and find some of the music I've been listening to lately, just because my memory's shit. So we got AFI, Avicii, Cirque du Soleil, The Cranberries, David Guetta and Showtek, Deadmau 5, Desert Dwellers, Disturbed, DJ Alone Montana, Electro Mix and Theogenic, Eric Pride's Fat Freddy's Drop, FF7, Hayden James, I don't know who that is, Helsinki Philharmonic Orchestra. Fuck yeah, let's throw that shit on. Holy shit, it's the Nas song. Wild that an orchestra did a Eric Pride cover. That's fucking awesome, man. What a musical genius. Cannot listen to this song without nitrous oxide. It just would not be the same.
This song just gets me every time.
Okay, let's get back to Instagram. Totally cringy. I'm making this comment up. Says, wow, Adam, you look super, super sweet, dude, in that Rose's black golf shirt polo you're wearing. Have you been working out? Well, thanks for asking, Mr. Cringy. Yeah, in fact, I have been working out. No, I'm not gonna flex on you. I mean, Why would I ever flex on you? It's not in my nature to show off. I'd never. I'm way too modest to show off. All right, cringy. I'm looking into the future to view comments me aside. Let's continue down the list. Andy Carey says, what's your favorite psychedelic? Well, Andy, I would not say that I have just one favorite psychedelic, and I would rank favorite based off the ones which have helped me the most in my life, and those would definitely be LSD and DMT tied. In fact, if I were to pick a favorite, it would be the combination of taking acid and Dimitri at the same time. That is otherworldly. I need to experience that again before I die. Cast Off Photography says, you seem happy again. Been watching you for what feels like forever now, and your mental health has really been on one hell of a roller coaster as far as I can tell. You fucking got that right, man. Just how are you doing right now? Are you happy with your life, and are you happy with what you were doing, and so on? Good day to you anyways, Adam. Well, good day to you too, Cast Off. I'm doing well. Since I started exercising again, I've been a lot happier. Not just from the endorphins, which work on the brain's opioid system, but I just feel better. I've gotten my priorities in check. Unfortunately, the people in my life are going through a lot. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I took a little bit of a hiatus because of something serious happening in my family. I don't really want to get into it. So it's difficult for me to really be happy when people around me are going through so much. I'm just doing my best to be there for them right now, which is why some of the really big video projects that I'm working on, a lot of you guys heard me say I was going to post my magnum opus like Eric Pride, haha, soon, which is a video that I've never been so excited for. It's just I've had to put it on hold because I've had to help my family. Not to mention, Jasmine is due any day now. In fact, she could go into labor while I'm making this video. So there's that. There's just been a lot going on. But even through all that, I have persevered and I feel better. I've made new patterns, new habits. Those acid trips I had really freaking changed me. I mean, I stopped taking the Vyvanse daily like I was, and I feel great. I feel good. I actually look forward to exercising now, which is something that I haven't enjoyed since I was a teenager, it feels like. I Don't Do Bad Things asks, if you have a bad trip off a psychedelic and end up feeling more anxious about things, is taking it again and hoping for a good trip a good idea? Well, you best be true to your name and you best not do any bad things, because that's definitely a terrible idea. If you have a bad experience, it's not like that whole saying of when you get off the horse, get right back on. No. You want to reflect and potentially integrate some of the lessons. I mean, maybe it all wasn't bad. Maybe there was just some negative aspects to it, so it just felt bad overall. But what is bad? Bad is just a contradiction of what you assume is good. And in future events, sometimes what we see at the time as a bad experience can end up launching us into new highs that we never thought were imaginable and new positive experiences. For example, I've been, say, miserable from breakups in the past, but had I never experienced those breakups, then ultimately I wouldn't have my son, who I love dearly. That's a really huge in-your-face kind of example, but it's true. So what I would suggest is to don't look at them as bad. I mean, you can look at them as challenging. That's a better reframe. But if you do have one of these challenging experiences, you want to take a break. It's most likely telling you something, and if you do continue to trip, the experiences may get more and more challenging. So what you want to do is figure out why it was challenging, find out what went wrong. I mean, if it was something that was just set and setting related, for instance, say you took it in a public place because you got arrogant and thought you could handle it and things went sour, well, maybe you can still trip, just learn the lesson and do so in a comfortable environment with parameters that you can control next time. Ryan Higdon asks, what should I do to avoid having a bad trip? Well, Ryan, the best way to avoid any trip from ever going bad is just don't trip. It's the best thing. Yes, I know I'm an asshole, sorry. There's actually countless videos on this very topic that you can find if you just explore my channel a little bit. I don't want to bore everybody by getting into all of that right now. Archie Babelby asks, should I take psychedelics again if it led me to suicidal thoughts? That's going to be a big fat no. You should probably explore that when you're sober before tripping again, because a bad trip can cause someone to commit suicide. You need to take care of yourself and explore why that might have happened. Jack96887 says, hey man, in your honestly opinion, do you think 4-acetoxy-DMT is as safe as mushrooms or a prodrug to psilocybin? Well, you're close. It's a prodrug to psilocin, 4-hydroxy-DMT. There's no thinking. It is. It's actually a prodrug. I believe it was David Nutt who suggested in psilocybin research to use 4-acetoxy-DMT because it was easier to produce, and the effects, well, it's the same as psilocybin. Psilocybin is only active because it converts into psilocin, same as 4-acetoxy-DMT. So it's kind of like the same as psilocybin. Strangest thing is it's legal in many countries. In Canada, you can purchase it as a legal research chemical. There's another place where shrooms in their actual organic form is legal, and I believe that's Denver. They just... Is it legalized mushrooms? I still need to research this because that would be a great video to talk about. And is there another place? Is it Colorado that also legalized them? I don't know. I'm totally guessing. I need to look this up. So if you guys want to try mushrooms, you can either get 4-acetoxy-DMT if you live in Canada. I think it's legal in the States as well. Double check that. Or you can check out Denver and take mushrooms. Pretty fucking wild, man. Your boy Toucan Sam says, hey Adam, your live ego death has saved my soul countless times. I hear that so often, which is crazy. I randomly thought to make that video once while I was in the passenger seat and my girlfriend was driving, and I just made it on a whim, really without any planning. So hearing that it's helped so many people is amazing and humbling. That's awesome. I'm happy. Anyway, my question is this. Do you think alien life exists in our galaxy, and by extension, that we'll make contact in the near future, in brackets, next couple of centuries? I don't know if it exists in our galaxy. I know that there's a large part of me that considers whatever one experiences on, say, an N-dimethyltryptamine as entity contact. Only those beings are more like interdimensional. I don't believe they're a part of this physical galaxy. I'm not sure if there is alien life in this galaxy, or maybe even in this universe. Maybe all aliens are in parallel universes, and that's why planets are so far apart, because you're not meant to travel through space to get there. You're meant to fold space in half and, I don't know, shoot your consciousness across dimensions using a molecule like DMT as your spaceship. Maybe that's how you are supposed to meet entities. Perhaps we're just so limited in our thinking and we're so obsessed with physicality that the scientists among us don't understand how it's just as, if not more, a viable option for real space travel to do it through conscious exploration as it is through physical. That's what it seems to me, and I think we just need some really hip and in-the-know scientists to make this connection and then to study this in a way that it hasn't been studied yet. And then sooner or later, we're going to learn how to, say, program the DMT experience to treat it as if it was a interdimensional spaceship. And we're going to be able to effectively launch humans into parallel dimensions. And I mean, like as if, say, it's a Back to the Future type spaceship where you insert your parameters and you can go exactly where you want to go, versus right now it's feels pretty random because we don't really understand how it works. But yeah, I think that's the future of meeting aliens, even though that's not really the question you asked. I'd say they live in parallel dimensions, not this galaxy. And I think we have already met them for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have. I don't know about you guys, but I've met some ETs, some reptiles. I might even be one myself. Kat the Marauder asks, do you still feel like good Adam since your series of humbling trips, in brackets, extremely proud of you, by the way, described in one of your more recent videos? Yeah, I'm definitely still good Adam. Bad Adam who just chased his own pleasure is a thing of the past, and if I'm smart, he will never rear his ugly head again. Now, I say that because it would be really stupid to say that he'll never come back for sure, and there's no way that he'll return, because I've learned from my own experience, one can always regress and return back to past negative tendencies or behaviors, and in turn turn into bad versions of themselves. And I had to experience being bad Adam to get to where I am right now. So I don't regret it. I've learned a lot from it, and I will continue being good Adam. Feels fucking weird talking about myself in like a third person or something. Trip to Preem asks, what have your worst trips taught you? Not just about yourself, but the human brain in general. Well, the bad trips have taught me that we are all susceptible to terrifying, even suicidal inducing experiences. A lot of you guys don't realize this, but people who do end up hurting themselves on psychedelics aren't always newbies. Sometimes it's people who are hardened psychedelic veterans, and it was just they got arrogant or careless, and it just took that one trip for them to feel like they were trapped in the trip and end their life. In fact, they might even be at more of a risk for it, because hardened veterans are more likely to believe that what they experience in a trip is true, that they're in some kind of a truer form of reality than this one, in which case they'd be more likely to buy their own bullshit and think they were stuck in that forever and end it. So there's a lot of dangers, and I have realized that we are all susceptible to a nightmare experience. I'd be hard-pressed to find someone who isn't. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, maybe there are some people who are just these meditation yogi gods who can overcome anything. But I know for the bulk majority of us, if you put us in a really negative setting, like, say, completely lost in another country with being surrounded by people who don't even speak the same language as you at night in like a scary area, and then you had a person trip in that circumstance and say they were going through a lot in their life, and I don't know, maybe they lost their wallet that night or something, and they had no idea where they were, and then they're tripping. Well, I think most of us in those circumstances are going to freak the fuck out. There's very few people who will be able to stay calm no matter what the scenario is. And a lot of us don't realize that in a trip, how we feel can change in a fucking snap. It can just take one bad thought, or even just one kind of negative thought can be all it takes to propel us into this snowball effect where pretty soon we're in our own hell. And it would be arrogant to think that just because you've tripped a lot, you're immune to it. So yeah, I learned that. Richard M asks, have you considered quitting drugs altogether? If not, will you still use when you're 60? Well, Richard, if you want to talk about Albert Hofmann, the guy who invented LSD, well, that dude has been quoted saying he microdosed himself with small doses of LSD well into his 90s. I think he lived to be 102. Okay, so in his fucking 90s, the dude was out gardening on small doses because he said it made nature so much more beautiful and it helped him appreciate life more. There's a good chance I'll be just like Mr. Hoffman in that regard. Here we go. Chanelli Bertie asks, do you believe in the afterlife? Ooh, this is an interesting one that's surely going to ruffle some feathers. As far as what I currently believe, which has been influenced by my psychedelic exploration, in other words, exploring human consciousness, I have come to realize that this is it. You're only going to be you one time. When you leave here, when you die, there's nothing left that you are going to experience. However, experience, I do not believe ends. And I think there's some pretty obvious clues to that when you can simply look at the fact that when a person dies, life continues. They might have died, but the experience of being human, at least currently, we're not extinct, continues on, as if nothing ever really happened. I think that when you die, the exact same thing's going to happen. You'll be gone, but life will continue. There's still more to experience. People are going to hear that and they're going to be like, yeah, no fucking shit, man. That's obvious. But what does that have to do with me? You're basically saying that you just die and you're gone for good. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. You die and you're gone for good. The problem, though, is you fully associate yourself with this body, this ego. You cannot experience anything beyond that while you are alive. This is something that I feel I've learned through DMT, because DMT pulls you out of being just this one ego, and it feels as though you're joining everything. I have felt as though I was being pulled out of my body and merging into the walls of the house before as I was breaking through, as if there was an experience to be had beyond individual consciousness where you are just raw consciousness. So it's hard to say, but there's no afterlife in the sense that we've been led to believe, say through Christianity, where it talks about heaven and hell. And no, heaven and hell is just on earth. You can either be experiencing heaven right now or hell right now. And a lot of us experience both of them because we both have good and light in us. We both are capable of having good experiences or bad experiences, being good people or bad people, which ultimately is all just your opinion of good and bad. What I would say is there's either just high energy or low energy, and you need the low energy to have the high energy, so stop making distinctions between the two. But yeah, there's no fucking oasis waiting for you. When you're dead, you're dead. Your experience ends for good. That doesn't mean that there is nothing to experience, but you, kaput, you are gone. I know this is something that's very challenging to wrap your head around, because we cannot experience anything beyond just being ourselves, beyond being a little me ego self. And I say little, but that's the point. That's what life looks like. It's supposed to look like this. What I'm describing is the opposite of life. I'm describing what it's like to experience death. And there are people that believe there is no experience left after this. And now, if any of my DMT experiences were true, and people have linked DMT to, say, near-death experiences, then it would suggest there is something more. So you can take comfort in, as much comfort as you can take, in my opinion, that I do lean towards believing there is more to experience. Okay, just fuck it. Yeah, I believe there's more to experience after this, but it's not what you think, and it doesn't feel like you think it would feel like. It's so alien that it's absolutely unimaginable to you right now, and that's the whole point. That's why death is such a mystery, because you cannot imagine what that feels like. When you exist, you can't imagine what it's like to not exist. However, I would suggest that existing is not a prerequisite for experiencing. I would suggest that things are a lot more fucking weird and bizarre than we are capable of conjuring up with our minds. I think the reality to what's going on here on this planet in this thing called life is just so innately bizarre. It confounds words. There's nothing you can say to describe it. It's ineffable. And I would suggest to anyone watching who has a fully developed brain and who is in a country where it is legal to experience DMT, again, only if you're an adult and if you're in a place where it's legal, because that would be the compound that really got me to see that there's so much more out there than this. That man, I could go on forever about DMT, and as you guys know, I have lots of videos on it, but DMT convinced me that there's more. Okay, guys, I initially said I was going to answer questions from the computer and from old Instagrams, and you know what? There's just so many goddamn questions, and good questions at that. I am going to cut this into 2 parts, so I'm going to film another part later because I do have to edit this and get it posted soon. As I said, Jasmine's due any day with the baby, so my life is going to be turned even more upside down pretty quickly, and when that happens, I need to have content that I can release while I'm not able to make videos. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure you click that button that looks like a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below your own question for the next video. That is assuming I actually answer questions from here next time, or I might just go back to Instagram again. So yeah, if you want to ensure that you can ask me a question the next time I do this, or at least have a better chance of it being answered because I can't answer all of them, then follow the link in the description to my Instagram, follow me on there, and you'll know when I do another Q&A video. Anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Huge shout out to everyone supporting me on Patreon. You guys are making this happen. As I've said, all my videos have been getting instantly demonetized, or just the yellow $sign, meaning they don't get any high paying ads, so they make, virtually nothing. So it's thanks to Patreon that I can keep going. I love all you guys on Patreon. I'm going to start listing my patrons' names again soon. Love you all. I will see you guys all in the next one. And if I keep on working out, I'm going to just start looking even more and more fucking buff. Yeah, I know, I'm cringy as hell, and I just love showing off. It just, it feels really good not to be a fat ass anymore.